All right, Fin fans. Another big story came out, kind of interrupted my flow, my happy flow of just dealing with X's and O's in football. But it's a big one. And I love my Fin fans. I love my team. But I'm reading some of these responses to the 2019 memo that's being added to the re-amendment of the Flores lawsuit, and fans are saying some crazy stuff that has no rationality to it. So I want to quickly just get into this, deal into the realities of it, and then move on back to X's and O's. But I want to make it clear, there's people out there, had somebody die this week, today. They've had hard lives, hard years, lost their jobs. All they want to do is watch football and smile and get away from it all and just smile. They might not be, Mr. X's and O's, and they just wanted their team to win. They're fans, total fanatics. Anything that interferes with their joy on Sundays, Thursdays, or whatever the game is no good. That's okay. This is not, NFL football is not curing cancer or feeding the world's homeless. It's a game. There's some deep realities to it because people sacrifice their bodies. Sometimes they even die on the field. So there is some reality, but it's still a game. So if you just want to come here and be a fan and you don't care about what's real, what's not, you don't care if you're 0-15, 0-16 Dolphins are going against the undefeated whoever, and they're going to take them apart, and you believe that totally it's going to happen, that's fine. Then there's the other side. They're X's and O's. Everything they want to know the game. They want to break down the players and try to prognosticate what's going on. Sometimes that interferes with them being fans, totally sold out to their team because, it's not what they believe is to be reality. That's cool too. And then there's most of the people that are just in the middle, somewhere of the spectrum or the other. The fanatic, they have a lot more fun. Those are the guys dressed up in paint and get up gear, and they're always believing. They're having a great time, but they don't always get things right because they're just operating on faith and emotion. Then there's the other team, the other side. There, X's. There's that movie. I forgot what movie it was, but there's the two guys. They're heckling their team all year long because they don't think they got a chance to win, and eventually they go, and it's a hockey team or something, and eventually they go into the playoffs, and it's the year they're going to actually win it all, and they didn't enjoy the season at all. So there's pluses and minuses and positives, and I don't care what side you're on, because if you're on this side, the fan side, or you're on the objective side and you're a Fin fan and you love the Miami Dolphins, here's a reality for you. You, me, all of us, and our team have been considered a laughingstock joke for a very long time. If you're oldish like me, the Bungles, you're not a Bungles. The Jest, you're not a Jest. You can go back to the Leroy Selman years of the Buccaneers. I forgot the name of that. They were a joke. That's who we are now. And whether Flores is a bad guy, a good guy, or something in between, he didn't start all this. Our team is in the hole. I personally think Flores wasn't such a bad guy. They got screwed pretty hard. But I still want McDaniel to win. I still want Greer, who I don't really like, to draft really well because I want to see my team win. But the reality is coming to all of us. Now, depending on how litigation happens, sometimes justice doesn't always occur. But we have to deal in some level of reality. And this 2019 Brian Flores memo, I'm seeing a lot of people miss the magnitude of this thing. And it doesn't mean that Brian Flores was an angel. Doesn't mean that he's a great coach. But it does mean a lot. First, this wasn't, I'm getting back at my owner and get it when I get out of Dodge because I got fired. This is back in 2019. So Big O, who I still like, but I'm just a little disappointed in, we're saying, well, there was a big narrative out there. Well, okay, so maybe there was a tank going on, and if Brian Flores is such a noble guy, why didn't he say something sooner? He did. This is clear. Whether Ross put 100,000 a game in, it's not in the memo, that doesn't matter. I'm going to dial in to show you how it does not matter. This is fundamentally true. Now, remember, Ross has been a screw up since he came in. Doesn't mean he didn't do the right thing now. But as far as I remember, I've been writing for Finn's News for like 7-8 years now or something, under MJ. First name's Mike, last name's Curtis. And people have been saying Ross is a moron. Ross came in, he didn't work well with Parcells. Parcells got out, he had the horrible thing, made it look like a schmuck. Then he hired crazy Philbin, who was worried about picking gum off the carpet. Then you had Bullygate, and then you had Ireland battling with each other inside, drafting people, overdrafting. Then got rid of them, then brought Tannenbaum, the jet guy. Then you got Gase, Crazy Gase, who's the young new Don Shula. And then he said, and this is key, and this is what, when this season started, I was a fan of Greer, the 2021 season. I was a fan of Ross. I believe Ross when he said, you know what, repeating the same thing over and over again is a sign of insanity. I've been interfering too long. I've been trying to run it like a business. I'm pulling out. I have nothing to do with football operations. Chris Greer is totally in charge. I am out. I said, that's my owner. Thank you. That's all I want you to do. Write checks and shut up. That's it. And I believed it. Now, either A, what was said here in his little memo, it's not exact, but the rough estimate according to the paragraph 166, and it's been corroborated that this is validated from the Dolphins side of things. Mr. Flores memorized Mr. Ross's desire to have Miami lose games in a December 4th, 2019 memorandum that was provided to General Manager Chris Greer, Chief Executive Officer Tom Garfinkel, and Senior Vice President of Football Operations and Business Administration Brandon Shore. In this letter, Mr. Flores details the toxicity that existed within the organization and explained the unreasonable position he was being placed in by team ownership and upper management. Let's say Ryan Flores was totally insane and made it all up. Okay, that's possible. Highly unlikely. I mean, is that what you're going to attach your horses to? That in 2019, about 7-8 months after he became the head coach of a professional football team, he suddenly loses his mind and he's seeing making ghosts up about Ross trying to get him to lose games. And so he totally creates this fictitious letter up. Let's say that's true. If this is true, sure, Garfinkel and Greer have the responsibility to go to the NFL office and provide them with this letter and let them do the investigation. Remember, this is a chain of command. Big O said, why did he do so? He did. He followed his chain of command. Do you think that do you think a business that if you're a senior a boss is doing something wrong, you're going to go to the CEO right away? No, you put it up the food chain, and it's their responsibility to carry it all the way up the food chain. In the military, it's the same thing. You think that Corporal Joe Davey, he doesn't like what his commanding officer is doing, so he's going to write a letter to the Pentagon. So the reputation, the very foundation of this league is based on fair play that each team is trying to win. Now you, maybe me too, might have wanted us to lose and get Joe Burrow. That doesn't matter. What if your team could have made the playoffs and didn't make the playoffs? And the team that was playing the team that was going against a team that you needed to lose was just tanking. And down the road, the Miami Dolphins, they don't make the playoffs in a very critical year because the team tanks and doesn't even try to be the team that they maybe could have won. Would you have the same tune about losing and tanking? No, you wouldn't. What about if you were betting on the game? You put a lot of money down and you find out the team is tanking. Would you be very happy about that? What about all these big betting conglomerations? You think they're happy about that? What about the guys paying thousands of dollars a year to go to games, or maybe they're going to the one game they're going to go for the year or a couple of years, and they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars to bring Joey and Johnny and Marie to see their first Dolphins game? Do you think they're happy to know that their team is tanking? Maybe some of them are, but maybe some of them aren't. This whole thing is based on fair play. These three guys had the absolute responsibility to go to the NFL and say, Flores is crazy, let's get rid of him, or there's something going on at the top. And this letter is not going to disappear. The NFL is at every angle being attacked. As Jerry Jones once said, we're killing the golden goose. Do you know how much billions of dollars are in sports betting and football? Football is the number one sports betting aspect or game. I'm not even much of a betting guy. In all of sports, it carries sports betting. If there's hints now, you heard Hugh Jackson say he was paid to tank. This has major consequences to the fans who are buying jerseys, paying for stadiums. All this comes into play. And these guys had the obligation. Whether Flores was crazy, making it up, suffering from schizophrenia, or telling the truth, it wasn't for them to determine. And I see Finn fans saying, oh, well, there's a bit. And they even said here, look. Somebody from the Dolphins said this, which is really telling. It's bad. This letter was proactively provided to the NFL and their investigators by Dolphins weeks ago. A person involved on the behalf of the Dolphins in the investigation regarding the claim that Ross offered Florida $100,000 per game to the team to lose in 2019. For Flores to now bring it up now seems pretty bizarre, given that the letter actually contradicts his complaint in that he has no evidence of any conversation with Steve, and that the letter also makes no mention of money. This just shows how desperate he is to bring up the letter that actually goes against his own position. This does not absolve their obligation in 2019, December 4th, to take this to the NFL. They cannot. Maybe Flores is whatever. They had the obligation and only brought it up. And listen to what Ross says. I welcome that investigation. I am eager to defend my personal integrity and the integrity and values of the entire Miami Dolphins organization from these baseless, unfair, and disparaging claims. Baseless. So, you're Stephen Ross. You never even asked him to tank a game. You had never did it. So your coach, who you hired, who's on a major losing streak, decides to make up that you're trying to get him to tank. And you don't fire him. You don't investigate him. You let him be your head coach. You don't go to the NFL. Baseless. And I heard some people say, oh yeah, like he had all the copies were sent out and only his remains, or what, the rest of them get burned? Brother, please don't say that. I mean, I'm oldish, and I still understand. He probably did it from his phone, an email, a text. There's obviously electronic signatures. This is not like letterhead. This is the done deal. Dolphins corroborated it, and they did nothing. This is good. Mike Florio, who I didn't like some things he says. I do like him on some things. I watch him and some people like, this and that and don't like it, whatever. I listen to anybody. I didn't like what he did about a couple months ago. I said that, I did a video on it. But he said in this, the immediate questions include whether they did anything about it. Did they investigate? Did they alert the league? Did the NFL receive a copy of the memo? Did the league investigate? Did the Dolphins or the league resolve the claim by finding it had merit or by finding it was baseless? Did the team or the NFL simply ignore it? Maybe they did send it to the NFL and the NFL did nothing. then the NFL is even in bigger trouble. Maybe Flores is totally insane. Maybe Greer and the rest of them and Ross said, this guy's totally nuts. Let's send this to the league. And the league said, I'll just leave it alone. I don't want to bring this open. And let the crazy man still coach the team. That's even a bigger problem. These are good questions. And Mike Florio, who, whatever you think about him, sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I think he gets a little drama heavy. He said, from his sources, whatever that means, the league has the dart on Ross. And just like Ross has sacrificed everybody along the way for his own ineptness, whether it was Sperano, whether it was Ireland, whether it was Tannenbaum, maybe you believe that it was like Flores, whatever, the league's going to do the same to Ross. At the very least, the Dolphins are going to be docked because this attacks the heart of the integrity of the game. And the fact they did not send this letter up, whether Flores is a liar or telling the truth, they're in big trouble. And I said this in the video, Brian Flores certainly reads The Art of War. And it says, Sun Tzu says, never go to battle unless you've already won. And some people are saying, well, why did he wait this long? Because he's going against a billionaire and a conglomeration of billionaires, and this is war. You bring things out when you get maximum effect. If he brought it out at the beginning, this would have been buried. Right now, this is going to be the focus. And if you notice, the beat writers aren't touching it from what I see. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And at the bottom line, Ross, even if he's innocent and Flores is the bad guy, he screwed up big time by not sending this up to the NFL. His only out is the NFL itself got the letter and did nothing with it. If not, there's going to be major consequences. And I bet Flores has more stuff. Now, this does not mean, fans, that we don't root for McDaniel, even Greer. If Greer gets fired 2 years from now, I want him had the legacy of the greatest GM of all time and draft Hall of Famers. Maybe he drafts so well. For me, I really didn't like Greer, but now I'm starting to feel a little sympathy for him too. Because Ross is Palpatine, just twisting and turning and doing damage everywhere he goes. It's what it seems to me. Maybe not. But this memo will have major impact. And it should, at the very least, for those who have some level of intellectual honesty, you don't have to, it's football, whatever. Hate Flores, feel good, enjoy the game, life is tough, I'm fine with that. But if you have some intellectual honesty, understand why was this memo never moved on if it wasn't. And Flores has been saying the same thing he said after he got fired all the way back into December 4th of 2019, and he did it the right way. He went up the chain of command. He would send it to 3 heads of the organization. He did his job. Now, if he's lying, he's a scumbag and he deserves to be screwed. But there's no way this guy's totally insane. I mean, he'd have to have bodies in the basement to be making all this stuff up. There's got to be some level of truth to it. There's going to be consequences. And this memo is a very damning piece of evidence because it put the responsibility in 3 of the heads of the organization. Did they even tell Ross? Who knows? I don't know. But it never went upstream from there, and that's their responsibility. Anyway, whatever you believe, you and me, we're simpatico. We're compadres. We're Finn fans. I'm still rooting for McDaniel. I'm still rooting for Greer to nail this draft. Because at the end of the day, I'm tired of being a joke. I'm tired of this franchise being a joke. Sorry I had to get back away from my X and O's, which I really love, but this is a big deal. This is a big deal one way or the other. It's not going away. Anyway, Finn fans, I'm hoping we can return to greatness someday or even competency. I hope it starts this year. Anyways, Kurt saying, thank you for staying to the end. Please like, comment, subscribe. Subscribes and likes. They're tremendous. The Google overlords, when they're happy, my sponsors are happy, and I love that. But comments, they mean the most. I love hearing from you. I'm going back. I think I answered some of these comments in like the sidebar. And I remember answering them. I go back and there's no answer there. So I'm just going right back to the internal page thing or whatever, or on the video itself. I'm going back and answering comments. I love the comments. I appreciate the time you take. It means something to me. I learn, I laugh. Sometimes I have to say, hey, I'm wrong, whatever. But that's what means the most to me. Anyway, Curtis saying, catch you next time. See you soon. Be well and go Fins. Bookies can earn hundreds to thousands of dollars from booking action with aceperhead.com.